What's up, to my TNA IMPACT Wrestling review as we are live tonight, a live show with the big match being Bobby Lashley versus James Storm for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We kicked it off with a tag team match, well, video package first. First off, they had at least a quick in memoriam to Rosie. Rest in peace to him. I kind of spoke on that on the SmackDown review, but they kicked it off with James Storm and Bobby Lashley pretty much arrived in the parking lot area, and sorry, I don't know why I just lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah, with them coming in, the video package about pretty much what they were going to do with the whole, coming into the company, I guess, pretty much, well, not coming to the company, but, talking about the world title match tonight. Pretty much a good video package, I'll just say that. I don't know why I was losing train of thought, my words right there. But we kicked off with the TNA tag titles on the line, LAX versus Jake Holmes and Joe Coleman. Pretty good match. Quick, easy. I still like the entrance and stuff now. So I did like that, and they pretty much run with the street sweeper, they call it. It's a tag team finisher, pretty much with Santana or Ortiz. After the match, Conan pretty much got on the microphone, talking about being serious like a late period, and the power structure's been handled. Good old boys, because LAX, we got the new members here. Says you guys know Homicide, Diamante checks the hose, and you got Santana and Ortiz right there. So I said, if anybody wants to come on, you can bring it on right now. You can get jumped, or we jumped you, or you can try to come for us. We're going to get you first, alright? And pretty much after that, Decay came out, which both LAX and Decay got into a brawl in, which went through the commercial. And at least they're back at the top of the tag division, Decay, because everybody thought Reno Scum was going to be doing, but one of the Reno Scum members hurt themselves. I don't remember what the injury was. I don't know if it was a hamstring or not, but one of them are hurt. One of them are hurt right now. So at least they got Decay going against them, because Decay is a top tag team around here, so they ought to be going for the tag titles. After that angle they did with the Hardys, they ought to be in the tag title picture, all right. At the top of it too, it's actually going against LAX, which I think could be a really good feud. One more thing, to say this, 420, blaze it up. Just to say that, Karen Jarrett came out, and she pretty much came out, and I'm gonna get a little of this because this didn't make a lot of sense to me. She pretty much came out and said she was the co-founder of Global Force Wrestling, and she pretty much said Global Force and TNA IMPACT Wrestling, whatever you want to call it, have merged. And yes, we do know they have a lot of working relationships with other companies around the world. Yes, I know they were with Conan's company, Crash Lucha. They have a partnership with AAA. Most likely, maybe seeing Lucha Underground people on here. They have a partnership with Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. They have a partnership with there was another company. I don't remember the name of it, but I believe those are one of the ones that's been named right. I know. Oh yeah, World of Sports Wrestling. That's been one of the companies that's been they partner with. But let's be honest here. What does this merge really do? Okay, listen, I'm separating this from TNA and Global Force. Like, why y'all saying this is a merger? We've already seen your talent on the show. They've been holding the belts. Cody was holding that next gen title around here, and got Magnus have the Global Force title. What did GFW ever do? Alright, I understood what Jeff Jarrett was trying to do in the past when he left TNA to make his own company, but it didn't amount to shit. They never got a TV deal. And the clips that I only saw from Global Force were online. And they were at baseball parks. I remember Scott Steiner being there, and Cornette, and the Young Bucks, and Gallows and Anderson. And when you think about it, most of the talent I've looked on their roster page have either went to WWE. A lot of Bullet Club members are back to Ring of Honor, or they went to TNA. So what did Global Force really do? What does it really merge? Like, at the end of the day, it's still TNA. Global Force didn't amount to shit. It didn't. It didn't amount to anything. It was pretty much like a cop-out, pretty much. Like, hey, we're merged, so There you go. So I don't think that they were really ever gonna go anywhere with this whole global force thing. I'm glad it's not like another invasion like last time they did, like about a year or two ago on TNA when Jarrett there had like Brian Myers and Chris Masters and Brian Myers, aka Kurt Hawkins, Chris Masters and um so I don't remember who was all on that team, to be honest with you. Just people don't really remember of that whole angle. I just remember Galloway and Lashley and the Wolves going against them and Eric Young betraying them and stuff. But I remember a lot of, I don't really remember that whole lethal lockdown with TNA versus GFW at that time. But like I said, GFW, it didn't amount to shit. This merge, I don't know why they're saying it's a merge or anything. It was never really a company. It was a company, but it was a failure. Jared talked about this TV deal so many times. So we got a TV deal, we got a TV deal, we got a TV deal. When was the deal gonna come? What network you were? They kept saying it's gonna be in Vegas, it's gonna be here, it's gonna be there, and stuff. But they only did like an indie event, and I guess they did tapings. But the merge never meant anything. It didn't mean nothing. It just never took off. Global Force never took off, and at the end of the day, it's still TNA. That's it. Alright, you can bring your talent in here. Hey, I'm glad that at least some of these guys are getting a shot. I got no problem with that, but Global Force didn't amount to shit. That's pretty much the simple fact. This merge means nothing. It's TNA at the end of the day. But she talked about was Night of Champions tonight until Sanjay Dutt, who she haven't seen TNA I don't know how long, and guy still has never been X Division champion, I believe. And he remember many years ago when he came here, he's a pioneer of the X Division and one of the cornerstones of his company. And he wanted, we made this X Division main event. We're make it a three-way pretty much. I don't know why they don't make this a one-on-one and stuff. But Andrew Everett came out saying, I respect Sanjay, but I'm the one that's going to take out Trevor Lee between me and him. So that's the thing that's going to go down there. Until Helms and Lee came out and called them, you guys are losers and stuff, and that they suck. And the X Division was run by one man, that is him, until Bruce Pritchard came out there. And, talk about what we're going to do tonight. We're going to make this a six-way. We're going to get crazy. We're live tonight, so we're going to get a six-way for the X Division title. And we're not going to tell who's going to be in it. And until pretty much Helms, they start brawling then. But Lee and Sanjay got the upper hand as they picked up the title and pretty much looked at each other then. Pretty much who's going to take the championship right there. Video package for Anthony Mayweather, I believe his name. Well, Anthony Mayweather, a.k.a. Crimson. At least it's a good reintroduction to him. Talked about the Veterans of War. He talked about he was in the U.S. Army. He talked about his life growing up in Cleveland. Growing up in a single-parent household with his mom and having a 5-year-old son that he does everything for. And that the VOW, the Veterans of War, will be premiering next week. But the X Division, yes, they are in the main event tonight, by the way, also. Even I don't know why they went from a one-on-one to a six-man thing, but we will see how that goes. But at least they're kind of going, I'm not saying but a lot, but they're going with Everett. They're still going after Lee to get the title. So, yeah. Rosemary went against ODB for the Knockouts Championship. Rosemary won with the Red Wedding. Wasn't it a long match? Clean finish. At least they still kept the title on Rosemary. She's still, they're still trying to establish one of the most dominant champions, and so hopefully they can keep this going with her. Because some say she has a lot of title defenses, so maybe this is a way to build it up. Since she beat ODB, Mackenzie Mitchell's backstage, and want to know who's going to be the final participants in the X Division title match, and they said Suicide would be in there, and they would announce another one later on. Until Sienna came up and talked to Karen and talked about all this GFW talent in our locker room, and she talked about the GFW Women's Champion, and she would be there and be ready. But she said the GFW champion, whoever is Christina Von here, she was toxic in TNA, so that's what a lot of people were saying tonight. Congo Khan went against Chris Silvio. Pretty much Laurel Van Ness still in the wedding dress out there. Kevin Matthews, KM, and Cena are out there with him. Kind of pretty much a squash match. It was a good squash match, I'll give it that. Pretty much a big splash out on the top of the ring, so that was good. Magnus, who had the GFW title, talked about El Patron. Since El Patron kind of left the video, he was not there tonight. Alberto pretty much said he would be keeping a close eye on Lashley. He was going to come out from some point, and maybe even Slammiversary this year. But we continued on with Magnus talking about his promo. He said, you know, that El Patron says he's the #1 contender, but you know, you beat Lashley and everything, but you haven't beaten me, and you had your chance. And he said he's going to be facing him next, Magnus, you know, since he's back now. James Storm came out, you know, pretty much had a case full of beer, getting ready to face Bobby Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Josh Matthews is out there on commentary also, which we saw about these two arguing. And as the match went on, which was a really good match, EC3 was out there to watch until the ref bump happened. And when the ref bump happened, you know what that means, folks. Screwy finish, which James Storm pretty much got his beer. Was going to hit Lashley with it, but EC3 came up from behind, turned heel, and hit James Storm with it. Then he shrugged his shoulders and left the ring. Lashley hit a spear, and he got the pin after that. Pretty much still winning the match. So, it was a pretty good, really great match. I'll say that. It wasn't for the ref bump, but EC3, we all knew he was kind of turning heel and stuff, so we'll see what he says next week. I know that. McKinsey mentioned once again asked Dutch Mantel who's going to be in the X Division match. He said Desmond, what's his name? Desmond Xavier, I believe, or Xavier something. Yeah, Desmond Xavier. I don't really know who he is. I don't know where he came from, but I heard he's a big high flyer, so we'll see how that goes. But Lashley still retains the title. There was a live event on Border City Wrestling where Chris Masters, Chris Adonis, beat up Moose until Moose was talking backstage about people challenging him. He's got a lot of enemies now since he got that Impact Grand title. And pretty much Adonis there came up with a broken arm saying that Moose broke his arm. He said he didn't know what he's talking about. And he says, you know, I'm not ready to compete. But he knew the perfect guy. Davey Richards pretty much came up from behind and jumped him. And he says, see you next week. LAX versus Decay next week in a street fight for the TNA Tag Team Championships, and the X Division title was ready to go as all of the participants came out. And we didn't know who the 6-man was. Oh, by the way, Swoggle was hanging in the crowd all night, so we got to see Swoggle there also. But the person that was the 6-man was Low Key, and this man, and I like Low Key. We haven't seen him in TNA for about 2 years when he left again, you know. Unfortunately, that whole Beatdown Clan thing didn't work with MVP in them. He pretty much came out as some type of Agent 47 hitman gimmick. This man wrestled in a suit, folks. He wrestled in a suit. And I'll tell you this right here. This was like one hell of an X Division match, alright? Was it a big spot fest? Yes, it was. But it's something better than what I've seen out of the cruiserweights lately. I'll give it that. I enjoyed the match. It was a really great main event. I was liking everybody was getting their stuff in. I still think it looked kind of silly that Low-Key wrestled in a suit. Just everyone was just hitting spot after spot after spot. It was insane. I would have had a one-on-one thing. But here's the problem with this match. I know a lot of people are going to say this. I really enjoyed the match. I think it was a great match. But the wrong guy won. Low-Key won the match. That's the problem. He won the match. And that's where, you know, it's a lot of problems with that. Because, yes, he did dodge Frankenstein, and he won with a, was the Warrior's Way, kicked the double stomp on Trevor Lee, which most of this feud is supposed to be around Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee. That's the thing it's supposed to be. Not in that fighting over the title anymore, and Low-Key's champion. So where does that go on from here? A lot of that doesn't make sense. Like I said, I enjoyed the match. It was a really great match. The main event for the X Division. Big spot fest, crowd was into it. Almost reminded me of Destination X 2011 with that Fatal 4-Way, which I thought was one of the best ones ever, with Low-Key, Austin Aries, Zema Ion, and Jack Evans. And this was a really great match, but the wrong winner. You just got the wrong winner. That was the problem with it. So I don't know what the point of Low-Key coming back to win this thing meant of him becoming champion again. That wrestler in a suit and tie. This did not make sense. And we went to Josh Matthews and Jimmy Boris arguing with each other then, and Boris telling him to go to hell and stuff as the Pope got off and pretty much left until JB punched Josh Matthews in the face. As Josh Matthews pretty much was sitting on his chair and looked at JB until the rest of the show. So yeah, this wasn't a bad show. I'll give it that. It's had its problems here and there. I still think that we didn't need a ref bump for that world title match. I was surprised that the X Division match was the main event, but it was a really great main event. It was just the wrong winner one. That was the booking problem of it. It wasn't the right winner that won. And as for Boris punching Josh Matthews there, we'll see how that goes next week, which is just getting kind of tired of, though. But, like I said, I already shit on the whole merge thing. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like, it's still fucking TNA IMPACT, whatever you want to call it at the end of the day. That's what it is. I don't know. Definitely was just a cop-out for them just to say, alright, GFW and TNA are merged now, so yeah. But we saw a lot of returns. Saw, I think it was some debuts, maybe, of people you don't see, but it was some returns. I'll give it that. Low-Key did come back. Sanjay Dutt also. So we got a lot of enjoyable stuff out of here tonight, right? It was an enjoyable show. I just have a problem with the ref bump and the people in the X Division title match just make it multi-man just because. But I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.